in the Swiss stage of our bracket. Orf will get another 2-0 like you both predicted in favor of Elevate, but those flyovers are coming in. Match number 2 is about to get underway. Let's get into it.
Should be a fun one. And yeah, I think, you know, one of those things is this Hacienda is not bad news for Godlike. They played it a lot. They found some good success on it. It's hard to say if it favors one team or the other because both teams really did prefer to play this map quite a bit throughout not only their region but also at CDSI. So this feels like perfect opportunity for Godlike to start off their run hot. Take down the CDSI champ in their first map, build a little momentum, build a little belief, maybe do the same thing with the firing range, but it just feels like after watching this Elevate team that they were very complete at CDSI. I don't see that changing. Yeah, no, me neither. But I mean, talk about a step in the right direction. Should you come out of the gates in these first 2 hard points on Hacienda could be so volatile to how the conclusion of this map might end. And I think that if Godlike come out here firing off on all cylinders, it will be very difficult for Elevate to potentially bounce back from. Confidence can be deflated, but nonetheless, we have to see which team will be joining that of Galaris in the 1-0 club. Should be fun to watch as we jump on in to the first hard point, right down to the middle of the fountain. Lots of focus on what happens between these windows, and okay, good start here from Godlike, taking some focus over towards the rock side of the stairs. That's enough to take off the players from Elevate from the windows and get themselves in for a little bit of time, but not enough to really change the status too much as the spawns will have Elevate right back up top of the high ground. Yeah, that's right. And that's pretty much all P1 is, the early get-goes when it comes down to Hacienda hardpoint. Basically just trying to maintain high ground control, try to get a couple players finessing around some smoke grenades inside the hardpoint. Just as simple as that. But most importantly, you want to make sure that you're playing for those back mansion spawns. P2 is one of our very first money hills here on Hacienda. Lead the case down over towards the Lambo side of the map at the bottom left. Elevate doing a really nice job here to soak up for some pretty significant time, all things told. I mean, already up to above 25 seconds after they had gotten kind of surprised by the route that Godlike put together. Really good stuff overall for Elevate in the yellow. Now making the move over towards P2. Elevate doing what they can from the front here. Not going to have a chance to win the spawns as Godlike will anchor things up, and a couple of kills will allow them a chance to jump into P2 early. I mean, but look at the dispersion coming through. I mean, you got one player up Prevail. He's trying to lurk over by rocks to actually get some player to spawn on top of him, but you really got to tip it out coming out from Elevate, actually playing for those close fence spawns. But the problem is they have to march their way up through these very narrow choke points. And Godlike are aware of this. They're anchoring someone in towards the rocks, so they know they're fighting back driveway time and time again. There's an opportunity to really kind of reinforce now as they see a couple of players spawn out. So now everyone comes back into the hard point. This is really good from Godlike, kind of bunkering down inside the hill. First 30 seconds are theirs, but now Elevate have stabilized inside the backside of the spawns. Can they find a way to actually convincingly break this setup? So far, so good. Learn has to give up his angle and try to hit from the front. A little pitch comes over for the side hallway, and it's not fully enough to flip the hill as Elevate will continue to spawn close. Yeah, so now you're just down to about 10 seconds, but you just got to take and run with it here if you are Godlike. A Predator Missile is actually coming up from Trunks. There's only 6 seconds, so really the influence for that might help them move their way towards the hedges, but realistically not a big fan of the Pred Missile potentially for this rotation over towards P3. Godlike do currently hold that position. Maybe some information on where they're coming from. One player for Elevate does spawn behind the play, but it's figured out nicely by Godlike. Now taking their focus to the front. Nice shots from Trunks. Looking for more around the backside as the first war machine gets popped. Again, he's just throwing it through the smoke. Doesn't find anything. It's completely gets countered out by the Sparrow. Good trade of focus as Learn takes his attention back towards the top side at Patio. All of Elevate are coming through, but he runs out of shots, and now it's just down to what can Neutrino find with the Godlike war machine out. It was just one war machine that Kennedy pulled out for Elevate. The response for Godlike were 3 operators in tow, and only one of them realistically found somewhat of a value, and that was to end up being Neutrino with that war machine themselves. But it's still Elevate hanging around the joint, trying to get a little bit more space further forward. Is Godlike just trying to unearth Elevate to get more time here at the end of P3? Honestly, these have been 2 really good hard points for Godlike fighting from inside the hill. They're not controlling Patio. They're not controlling the back spawns. They're allowing Elevate to spawn to the backside of the map, but Godlike say, we'll take the first 35, 40 seconds, let you spawn back, get the scrap time, and then we'll just rotate freely again. So it's a macro game that's exchanging 40s for 20s, which the mathematicians out there, you don't need a PhD to know that that's enough to likely win the game if that continues. But it is only a 2-point game. Elevate will be over by the rocks first. Some split spawns will start to come through. Starting to open things up with the Purifier, and then immediately the Equalizer just both shut down. Just no return of investment there. So Godlike trying to utilize their numbers, trying to push a little bit further forward. So much easier said than done. Purifier shut down though in Trunks' hands. Abiz cleaning things up with the Annihilator. Yopi, backside of the hill, hoping that his teammates could clear things out from the front side at Tiles, and Yopi's done well. Okay, Couple to come through, smoke out, but doesn't really do too much to deter this Elevate break from the front. Abi's in trouble, dealt with, and now Elevate's starting to really heat things up as now really the operators are completely extinguished.
Yeah, the Equalizer finally able to be fully pulled out there for close, trying for the past 4 lives just to maybe find value, but Kendi just marches forward, finds 3. And then the final few cleanups come through before we get back towards the center of the map. And again, it's been a tale of 2 different conversations. Godlike fundamentally sound, as you were pointing out there at the end of P3, with inside of the hard point just being able to play such superior positioning. But Elevate, scrappy as ever, just always hanging around. And will maintain this 15-point lead.
Yeah, really the only difference in this map is the 15 extra seconds that Elevate found on P1.
On P1, yeah.
Yeah, so Godlike, I would say, better in P2, B3 than Elevate, who has found more success on these more 50-50 hard points.
That's right.
Back into the middle of the map we go. Even pinstripe kill feed for the time being as we just get trades back and forth. Elevate still inside the time, but Godlike finally a chance to displace him.
Trying to at least finesse down low. We'll start to see numbers subsiding. The team in blue, that will be Godlike. But most importantly, they're trying to maintain presence over by the lobby of the mansion as well. Elevate should be able to read this. There's 25 seconds left to play for it, but they can't find the kills. It's just Kendi to show up in the kill feed so far, and Trunks will take down PJ as well. So Godlike bouncing back fiercely here in P1 as well, soaking up some more time while also maintaining the correct side of the map ahead of the rotation.
That's exactly right. As they will make their way from window to window. Susano doing what he can to get this scrap time confirmed. Elevate gonna have to stack up and decide how they want to try to break this next setup from the front. Susano, good read on the Trunks behind him. Now allows Elevate just to completely keep their focus on the front. There are operators out and ready. Kendi, Yopi gonna pull out the most explosive of the 2. War Machine and Sparrow are being committed, but the counter from Lord is supreme. He's able to find 3. The follow-up now for Neutrino and Godlike once again able to win over the first parts of P2.
From inside the hard point, their hard work is paying off here, playing for the rotation when there was still 30 seconds left over by P1. Claw invested now for Susano as Elevate are able to break their way back inside the hard point. And look at where Godlike, they're all trapped over by the driveway side, still trying to scrap their way forward for the back 30.
Pinch from Susano on the back. Oh, but it's Yopi who's able to step on up, find himself 2. Susano now cutting from the front with Elevate, trying to split focus hit this break. Looking good, 20 seconds to fight for, and Godlike are stuck, spawning over towards fences. They may need to chalk and rotate here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely do. You can already see at least one player is trying to move his way all the way through the garden side. If you spawn close, maybe try to make it threatening to fight for the scrap time, but what a bounce back coming through from Elevate. I mean, where Godlike found so much success within the first set of hard points starting on P2, Elevate just eviscerate them all. You do have operators available for Godlike on this hold. You feel like that you'd need at least 40 seconds here.
Yeah, Prevail just trying to make a mess of the rotation, doing what he can on an island, and he's done well. Prevail for 4 in a row. Equalizer's at the ready. Trying to re-clean up the backside at patio. Gets into the office nicely. A read on one more player. The Equalizers are out. And how about this call from Prevail, who's starting to chew through this Elevate defense. Able to find himself on 5. Pred Missile going to be earned. Susano with the shutdown, but Godlike in from the front.
Was that enough to be able to help things out? Like PJ is going to pull out the Purifier and just going to get immediately shut down, but it's actually the rest of Elevate that are finding a lot of trade kills, and it's allowing them to get more of this time. Godlike, although Prevail might bounce back here with 2 kills of the Hunter Killer drone, is it going to be enough to work their way fully back in? Elevate, their win condition is set. So long as they continue to keep it scrappy and get at least 20 seconds on every single hill, they will win at the end.
And Godlike continue to almost voluntarily give up some of these really key power positions around the hard point. This is the second straight P3 we've had where Elevate have just kind of jumped in from top patio. Often more contested than what we've seen, as now PJ starting to light things up on 6 in a row. Pred Missile just to confirm the scrap time as the rotation is already underway for the rest of Elevate. Surely they get past the 200-point mark here.
Yeah, you would feel like it. I mean, look at all the space that they currently have for themselves. It's a split spawn. You got players over by the Shark Tank in the office as well. Players spawning over by the boathouse. Players just lurking over by Lambo, waiting for assistance. But Elevate, they smell blood in the water.
Unreal stuff. As bums is the word here for how Godlike have played these last 2 hard points. Elevate, locking things down, just spamming things out with operators. Only thing available is Neutrino's War Machine for now. Prevail, nice double from the outside of the open steps. Godlike able to follow up behind that. Yopi now having earned a Sparrow, says that this is the time to go. Not able to connect with anything yet, but all the split focus back over towards the front is perfect. The trophy does not get down in time, and Elevate continue to soak up more scrap time.
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough time to win here if you are Elevate. That much is evident. But Godlike, they just so desperately need every single second that might be available for their game. Learn will end up finding 2. Let's go to a listen-in here now with Godlike to see how they might bounce back ahead of the P1.
Castle spawn है guys. दो लोग chess. एक लगता है castle top एक chess.
एक castle top है.
चेस मारा मैंने एक को. एक और है.
castle top लो. B mid 2 बंदे.
एक brown top से आ गया. OBJ. और एक brown top है. एक brown top.
castle के side है. castle के side OBJ guys. वो OBJ चढ़ के खेलता है.
2-3 बंदे P1 में.
कैसल टॉप भी था एक.
कौन पुश किया?
कौन और point.
कैसल टॉप भी काट रहा है एक यूपी.
Not good news here for Godlike as Elevate continue to do the dirty work here at P1. PJ locking down the purifier to make sure no one gets in towards the bottom bar, and they could just win it out right here. You've got hunter killers, you've got predator missiles, you've got more operators to throw in at this. Although Godlike do shut a lot of that down and keep themselves alive for a little while longer.
And calling in the predator missile while you already have an active purifier. Trunks just simply will not let it go to waste. Has currently found himself 6 in a row. Is still alive on the map, by the way, and currently just being a thorn in the side of Elevate, who just needs 10 more points.
Yeah, could very well do it on the rotation over towards P2. They're even finding a little bit of the scrap time here on the first hill as well. Godlike will get the benefit of the spawns towards new. Trunks also popped off. He's able to get himself into a Pred missile. That will clear some of the space. Yopi from the inside, though, goes completely unguarded. And Yopi almost wins the game himself. But you had to think that the double is likely enough as Elevate can now flood him through the side steps, and there's no chance for Godlike to fight back. 250, 144. Elevate cruise to a map 1 win.
Very similar of what we had at CDSI when these two teams did meet. The hard points, at least respectable for a scoreline, and Godlike started off so well when it came down to Hacienda hardpoint, playing fundamentally sound, playing for the spawns, giving up the back 20 seconds and setting up with superior positioning. But Elevate are just like a bunch of cockroaches when it comes down to these break attempts. They just keep flooding in the numbers at the right position and the right times, and as you were pointing out, it just kept on unearthing Godlike from such powerful positions time and time again. It inevitably led to their resource advantage, which did win them the game.
Well, the interesting thing about it, and we'll kind of see it on the minimap through these replays, is the amount of times that Godlike just kind of voluntarily decided we wanted to play from inside the hill and not really zone out with the proximal spawns in their favor. You know, kind of highlighting that in particular. P2, they tried to keep Godlike spawning towards fences side. It worked out for a while to get into the hard point, but as soon as the driveway flips, Elevate find a way to re-break in. Same thing for P3. You're playing back of fences, not top patio.
Yep.
You're allowing Elevate to initially say, hey, we got a lot of space here. They figured out the second rotation in particular, and they absolutely punished Godlike for not playing aggressively around the hill.
Yeah, I think in layman's terms, like Godlike were playing super reactionary, where you had Elevate that were constantly being proactive, just always altering how they were looking on the map, just always making sure that they were finding at least a handful of kills, opening up a different opportunity through the multitude of different hard points that we did have. It's a big step in the right direction coming through from Elevate off of their CDSI win. To start off with a win here in Atlanta is big.
So taking a look at the damage dealt, you've got 42 for PJ, 42 and 35. Everyone going just about positive for the most part. Other side of things, really not a bad performance at all from Godlike considering the score at the end of it. It's just the objective time. That's where the big difference is. As Chloe gets over 2 minutes inside the hill, and the top scorer in terms of overall time was just Trunks the minute 8. So again, the objective focus not as strong as it needed to be for Godlike. I think in particular P1, P4 is where Elevate found a lot of unexpected time.
Yeah, especially, I mean, that very first P1, it's like we were even talking about, like even that 15 seconds going into the second set, it was big and it was momentum because as previously stated that Godlike were forced to play inside of the hard point, and then just played in Elevate's hand, just being able to read and deconstruct how every single setup was mostly set up for themselves. A lot of good moments for a lot of different players. And yeah, when it comes down to Trunks, that 45 kills that he did drop kind of got bolstered at the end with a massive 9 spree that he went on. But semantics aside, this is an Elevate team that was formed to win championships. They already have one on their belts when it comes down to this year. This is a big moment for them to be able to win this as clean as possible.
Absolutely the case. So a great start. And respawn is, I think, the biggest thing we have to keep an eye on for this Elevate squad, because that's how they were able to beat pretty much all of the Chinese teams, and X-Rock in particular, that matchup was a fun one to go back and rewatch, just seeing how they really kind of bullied X-Rock in a number of different moments throughout the hard point, and especially the control. Did not take a Search and Destroy from them, but Chinese Search and Destroy is very good. So
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. Well, you know, not bad. But we go to a firing range for map number 2, and this is where Godlike series would have to bounce back, considering that they already beat this Elevate team here before.
And again, where we are 2 for 2 on firing range, Search and Destroy map number 2s, but the only issue is when you go back as far as history is concerned, not exactly a positive win ratio for Elevate, and I think that that's when you go back and you watch that firing range Search and Destroy between these two teams at CDSI, is that Godlike were able to take advantage of just how well they were isolating target after target. It's almost kind of like what we got out of Gallerus versus Tribe in our very first series of the day. That is very similar to how Godlike had a winning moment versus Elevate in this map number 2. Obviously, it would be everything so that they can extend it into a raid control for that square up, whatever that may look like, but still a massive moment here for Elevate to learn from their previous mistakes.
The other side of things here, this Godlike team, I'm really curious to see what their search is going to look like this weekend. And again, it's not often we look back at the Indian region and take much away from the previous results.
Sure.
Save the matchups that they played versus Vitality.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm kind of looking over the numbers is like, Godlike either are incredible at search or very poor. I mean, we're looking at a lot of lopsided scores early throughout this year, a lot of 7-2s, 7-1s. You get to CDSI, couple of tight overtimes, 7-9s there, here and there, but there are a couple of really bad losses. It's just kind of hard to, look at results like that and say, well, what's going wrong here for Godlike? Is it just because one player has to pop off when they do things snowball, or what's going to be the case? Like, what's the identity of this search going to look like?
Yeah, that much was evident, especially getting 2 land for CDSI. Very, very toss-up when it comes down to even the 2 search and destroys that they'd play versus Vitality. It's just stark comparisons. Consistency is very important when it comes down to Call of Duty Mobile. And yeah, the highs and lows will surely be there, but it's 11 call 7:35 local time here. You needed to wake up quite some time ago. You needed to be prepared for this matchup yesterday.
See what happens. Again, best of 3s. No forgiveness.
No.
Everything comes down to what you were able to build leading into this event. Smokes, 2 of them thrown over through mid here. As Godlike on the offense are trying to maybe pull Elevate towards B with this hit down mid. Problem is, shot lands towards the play at B, and now Elevate are very aware that there is a play through mid.
If you've been living under a rock and not watching what Elevate has to offer, Wampy's dead now, but Kendi is an absolute superstar. Big trades will at least come through. It's going to force out the 2v3.
But Elevate do what they need to do to try to limit the damage on this quick play through mid. Now the focus just goes purely towards B. Susano playing a very close corner here at Tires. May actually catch something as there's a slide over. Doesn't know where exactly he wants to take the aim, as there's a couple of players nearby. Nice shots for PJ, who can now rewrap this. This is a brilliant little micro movement step for him, as he can just kind of double up and play this backside to isolate. Doesn't need the help, though, does Susano, as he finds a little shot on the neutrino. And first round will go to Elevate.
Yeah, especially off of the trading of the nades, as ceremonious as it is when it comes down to be execute. I love the decision-making coming through from Elevate, just to suppress, at least make sure that a player's watching the flank. But once you get the information coming through from the slide, it just fully engulf them. You have the numbers. Wonderfully done.
Same smoke here for Godlike up the middle of the map. This time, though, they're playing a little bit more passively. They do find first blood, but Yopi, aggressive out of 10. Finds one, but can't step away from the trade from a Bees. So we'll keep the numbers advantage. 4v3 early for Godlike, who have now taken a bit of a pause, try to tally up where exactly these last Elevate defenders are.
And learned, getting a lot of information. Are we going back over towards B? Are we full sending over towards A? Seems that it will be the latter. So I have to worry about PJ with this Fennec inside a trailer.
Drop the bomb. Stuff from Elevate, locking things down. Smoke out again. This doesn't really affect PJ. He still has a little bit of a cross that he can see here. Abiz steps through, catches the first. PJ doesn't really know where he is. Doesn't know where he is.
Where did he go?
Where did he go? He's a ghost. Abiz in and out like a phantom.
The smoke grenade was so timely for Aviz's success there. Was able to get back behind the bomb, catches one Elevate player lacking. And then by the time you try to turn for that trade, or PJ's, your teammate's gone, you're chasing ghosts at that point. Brilliant response for Godlike.
First time we're going to see heavy stacks of nades over towards the A side of the map here for Godlike's offense. A couple of spam shots over through the woodwork as well. Nothing going to land, as there's a double stack of Elevate defenders inside of trailer. Counter nades coming through just to make sure A stays clear. But Godlike have shown some restraint. The focus was through, and they actually catch Klo, who tried for an early flank through jungle. Doesn't work out, and now numbers will allow Godlike to approach.
So have 2 players lurking around wood. They're actually going to send Neutrino all the way through from the flank, but they have lost Trunks. So 4v4, you're not really in a position to try to give up this bomb site. You're kind of committed to this now if you're Godlike.
Yeah, halfway, as Abiz, I was about to say, is trying to work things over to the middle map. He does find another. So now these defensive players should be able to just keep their focus on trailer, but doesn't work out as Yopi connects on to learn. And Neutrino's long flank now all of a sudden has to be win condition. Abiz clears out trailer by just walking in, but gets caught swapping weapons. And Neutrino's not going to clear America, so Susano will find the easy kill, and Elevate will get their second.
Just strange. I mean, once you get a player over on the bomb itself, just ready to plant it, you're kind of really relying on Trunks in that moment to fully clear inside a trailer. Once you lose that life, you're kind of hesitant on what you're supposed to do with your 2 players watching the flank. Neutrino's flank just needed to come through a little bit faster. Not really well judged for the timing as Elevate take a 1-round lead.
Trophies splitting the map here as Godlike will not get aggressive early. Instead, they're looking for quick contact, and they actually get some wall bang on to PJ for first blood. Stun through mid just to make sure no one's lingering towards the front side at trailer. And I would imagine that Godlike are going to start to put together whatever their intentions are here as a follow-up nade stun combo goes topside A.
Wow.
Neutrino lands one onto Susano's forehead inside of mid-chin.
That is a hell of a nade. First stun didn't connect on anything. Second and the third nade over by A. It doesn't connect with anything as well. Now, you'd have to imagine that a player's soul might be lurking inside of America, but these last 2 players are isolated. To say you have numbers advantage would be putting it lightly.
Yeah, they did kind of clear this out a touch with nades inside of the trailer, so they should be able to safely commit to the A plant, and that will be the case. Small tally of a follow-up kill, though, comes out of Elevate. So Kendi, Klo need to try to work this, and they're going to do so independently of one another. One from one side, one from the other. What does Klo's COD timing look like here? Kendi holding very patiently, waiting to see if Klo will catch any contact. We gotta go, boys. And oh boy,
not enough time.
Just, yep, right in the Bermuda Triangle goes Klo between 3 different Godlike members. Good damage onto one, but the clock is the issue. Kendi able to connect, but he has to stick. I mean, you have to stick this. Klo may have a chance to help out here. Hold on a second, but Abiz, he hits the shot that matters. No more defuse. And he even connects onto the pistols for the final.
I mean, that's a massive moment for Abiz. You're kind of forced into 2 different situations as a pro player there. You have to help out your teammate, but most importantly, their win condition has to be that angle from showers. Wonderfully done there for Abiz to be able to get the shot that mattered the most to confirm a second round on the board.
Looking at live tally of what the performance looks like thanks to our friends at Snapdragon. As we get early action once again, snipers exchanging kills. Klo going to be getting a lot of focus here. Good support nades over the top through middle though. They're landing right all over this Godlike offense, softening up the hit, and that's enough for Klo to somehow finesse for 2. The follow-up through the middle of the map is good though for Godlike, and they should be able to get a B plant. But Yopi is also seeing bottom 10, so no need for it. Initially, the defensive nades over the top
was
looked
great.
Absolutely critical.
That was great. That was exquisite to watch from the mini-map. All the nades coming over and then the hits soon to follow. That's just some of the brilliant teamwork that we have seen from Elevate, especially recently. But it's Godlike now to flip the lead. They have a 1-round lead now. Offense is just going to play rather passive, see what information they can find off of their nades.
Now, smoke through middle just allows the Bees to watch that cross through trailer. Couple of spam shots also just whisking by. Kendi looking for the follow-up. Oh, he's just gets caught in no man's land. That should lead to a commitment onto A with Kendi out of the picture. You got to be thinking this is post-plan today all day long.
You still don't know if there's a player lurking inside a trailer. It's actually a 3-player committal that's actually coming through jungle defensively.
Yeah, but the post-plan is set up for this setup, and Trunks nearly does it all himself. Doesn't even want the pistol. Give me more of that. Takes down 3. Klo also tagged. Easy follow-up from Neutrino and Godlike up 4-2 at the half.
Big momentum swing for Godlike. They got to be feeling confident now. You've beaten these guys here before. They can smell that raid control very nearby as we will flip sides. Elevate for their opening offense. It is firing into the end of the day. You will see a lot of nades through mid, but Elevate's numbers are favoring that to be.
Learn able to connect onto a car bomb for the first. Nade to Trunks does damage, but not enough to get him out of a position. He almost gets the reload for a third. Yopi able to get himself at least 1 trade. The retreat back is desperate, though, in nature, and Godlike can smell blood in the water. Susano trying to hold, but not going to be allowed to. And Godlike take the first defense, and then now a wide margin starts to exist on the scoreboard.
And 2 more rounds, and Godlike will be loading into a 3rd and final map here in their opening best of 3 versus your CDSI champion of Elevate. And Trunks is just playing out of his mind. Up to 10 eliminations so far. Passive setup coming through for Elevate. Just trying to see what information they could possibly get out of Godlike, and it's a first blood.
Yeah, Bees will drop. Sniper out of the picture all of a sudden. For Godlike's defense. Elevate, spreading the map. Trying to take their focus over towards the A side. Stun over the corner just to make sure no one's holding close. There will be question marks about if there's anyone inside a trailer. Learn tallies, there's a couple. Trying to threaten towards A. He wants the action. Gets a couple of hit markers, but nothing more, and that's going to lead to a post plant.
Play comes through from Trunks, and he finds the utmost perfect timing for 3. Knows that there might be one more player over inside of Showers for sure now, as Susano will find that trade, but the bomb has been dropped on A.
What a route. What a route. And now Susano trying to finesse. Pulls the attention to Godlike. 60 seconds to play. Klo, a little bit of sneakiness of his own. But look at the proactive movement from Godlike. They're going to take Showers, saying we can still just jump peek the bomb. Learn can hold deep to see if there's a cross through wood. And if we have to collapse onto B, that's fine. Bomb gets collected, and the shots from Learn are just not there. So now it's just down to Neutrino 1v2.
Oh, but the timing might not be there for the peak. Gets the timing. You see the one cross, legs him, can't get the kill. And that's all the information you need for Elevate. Plant the bomb at A, play the post plant in America.
Yep. Neutrino also had a second window to try to hit. Doesn't work. Swaps to an Ode. Maybe he can find ways to connect where Learn was unable to. Susano holding the mid cross. Passive setup for Klo on top of the bomb. Neutrino reveals his position with the stray shot over towards America. Now it's just down to Kenny. Got the Odin now. He guesses right when Klo was left, and Elevate will respond.
I got nothing. I mean, I was starting to get increasingly nervous once we saw the last 2 players for Godlike there just separate ever so slightly. They got inside of Showers. A little bit of a further approach coming through from Learn just to be able to hold that angle outside of wood, but gets caught. Elevate 1 round at a time. Diminishes lead to 2.
Shot lands for Kendi onto Learn. Hit marker again, though. And that's enough for those smokes to fade away with really not a lot of ground taken behind that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's Godlike who tried to get aggressive through mid outside of trailer. That's enough for a route for Trunks to rotate back through sandbags, and Elevate will have to consider that that's a possibility, seeing as they were pushed off the mid angles.
And now what utility do you even have left to try to execute on one of these sites? You almost feel like that you have to square up and try to get some of these kills inside a trailer, maybe all the way through jungle, but...
Oh. If you're going to clear trailer, you're going to run into Prevail with an R9.
Exactly. It is so standardized coming through from Godlike, post all of the utility in this 5v5.
Feels like a round where we saw a Tribe just have to run forward.
Yeah.
Might have to be the same case here. And Kendi will move forward. It won't be a run. A Bees up and over. That was seen. Action happening off screen. Doesn't really result in anything for now until eventually Kendi does connect. So now you can try to flood this. Again, the question will be what comes through middle here as Elevate, again, have not put eyes on mid at all.
You gotta be worried about Learn in his positioning through mid. Actually gives it up for the timing. Comes down to Prevail to maybe try to stop this. You're not gonna expect the player directly to his right, and it is just unfortunate disaster for Godlike in this 5v5. Elevate brute force their way onto the A site. Neutrino, good luck, have fun, buddy.
It looked like it was a retake stun to try to get Prevail out of trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it landed. There's a trophy that I think was placed late by Elevate. May have stopped that little bit of a flash push situation, as no one was affected by it. At least if they were, it wasn't for long. So 2 in a row for Elevate gets us back to within 1. Godlike on this next defense. Defensive smoke gets placed deep through middle. Aggressive nades for Elevate, but they have to respect the smoke. You can't just stack at backside obstacles, so they have to hold and wait to clear wood before they can move on to A.
Very similar setup coming through for Godlike defensively. Players inside a trailer. You got one player watching that very long cross of a Bees. Does not want to get first blooded by Kendi, who has had his number for the past few rounds when it comes down to first bloods. But Elevate not liking what they saw. Kind of pushed them back off of that smoke like you were talking about, just playing for the timing. So hanging around over by the course itself. Stun's not going to connect with anything as well. question marks for Elevate.
Oh, the Bees gets 2. Lines him up on the corner. Wallbang double, by the way.
Yeah, wallbang collab.
You think the Tundra has some piercing power?
No, I've seen more.
I've seen less. Elevate stuck. 60 seconds to play. They have. The thing about this is, Bees finding that collapse. They still have no idea there's a crossfire setup inside of trailer outside A.
And then what do you even do? I mean, like, Yopi has the bomb. He's trying to at least catch a timing, maybe a stray shot to be able to get an elimination. Well, we're down to 45 seconds. You have to commit towards one of these bomb sites, and it's not going to be B. They don't have enough utility to clear all the corners around tires.
And the Bees can just play this safe corner. They know they've got the advantage playing in trailer. And if things get really mixy, Neutrino can also rotate over. Trunks is going to step up. This is bold, and Susano misses. That's enough for Trunks to find a couple of Bees finishes it off. And Godlike will get to that point.
Yeah. No more funny business coming through from Godlike. You won 2 in a row if you are Elevate through the offensive incursions, but Godlike shut it down. The big first blood is coming through.
Defend the objective.
But most importantly, it was a great answer for the utility. I mean, Elevate just had so many question marks. They did not know where to go.
Opening focus for Godlike. Getting aggressive. That stun will land. That's one way to kind of counteract offensive trophies. Just push so far forward that you just get it too far deep. Doesn't result in a first blood, though, as Kendi will stay at least idle over towards A while the rest of the focus moves into B. Neutrino nearby. Gets a couple of hit markers. Not able to find PJ. Where's Trunks? He was right here. He got on a crossfire, but he allowed Elevate to get into the site, and that makes this a bit of a mess now defensively.
Favoring towards the reload so that way he can take at least 2 more gunfights. And it forces Elevate just to kind of give up, almost expecting Trunks to overheat, but that's not the case at all.
No. Same breath, Kendi also drops on that island towards A. So this hit for Elevate has to come over, and whoa, Trunks does overheat a little bit, thinking maybe he's got timing. But once more, it's just one of those moments that he's going to look back on and say, I didn't need to do that. We've got A control already. We've got good focus here at B. And that's now a door starting to open up a little bit here for Elevate to try to retake onto this B site.
Not saying that as an excuse, but if I had 16 eliminations and a firing range search and destroy through 10 rounds, I probably would overheat as well. But it could be a crucial moment. 3v3. Abiza's position could be everything. Knows that at least one player had cross. Just waiting is Prevail for that timing off of what Abiza can see off of contact.
Yep. Should be an angle to stop any desperate plants on B if they trust it. Prevail may have caught some contact. A late rotation back to A. And at the same rate, Godlike are sitting here saying, well, this surely has to be B. They're going to be late to the party here. Abiz has to be careful of 10.
All the timing.
And now it's down to really just learn. Does he want to peek this? Nate is being cooked up. Does this land for Abiz? There's still trophy systems nearby, but it's still enough for Learn to push. He finds not just 1, but 2. Trade is decent, but there's no more time on the clock. Godlike will take the firing range against Elevate again.
It's a very, very bold move there at a moment's notice. Even in a 3v3, just you're on the B bomb site rather than try to commit and pushing all the way through from the information. They saw Prevail, and they thought that as an opportunity. We have 2 players over here. Surely the third is probably watching mid, which, albeit they were, you have 20 seconds left to rotate all the way back through wood to get over towards that A bomb site, where their rotation through America with the Odin, as you saw from Learn, is just so simplistic.
Yeah, and I think the other side of that, and again, it's a desperate play in certain ways, but, you know, if you're Elevate, if we're in this 3v3 situation, even if it's a 2v2, if you're keeping someone kind of, you know, watching the flank, you have to be watching over the bomb planner there. Like, we can't just be watching the mid-cross. We have to be helping the bomb go down successfully. So, a couple of moments in there where you look at and say, ooh, not as tight as you'd like to see, but I think if there were to be a weakness in Elevate's game after watching CDSI, it would be in their search and destroy.
Absolutely.
And of course, it is, again, a run-back map that they had already lost to Godlike in the first place. So, moments of life here for Godlike, even in the face of a Trunks takeover.
16 eliminations is insane. Also had a Herculean performance in the map number 1. The scoreline not as competitive or as convincing as this one here, but again, I think you're just gotta respect it for what it is, right? You're gonna see firing range everywhere. Like, you gotta have a firing range search and destroy when it comes down to Call of Duty Mobile competitive, but also at the same point in time, I do respect it for Elevate, leaving it in against Godlike. It is the one map mode combination you did lose to them previously not too long ago at CDSI, but this is what I was worried about going in towards a raid control. Control as a game mode may not be as well versed for some players. However, when it comes down to raid, this is a bread and butter. And if Trunks is shooting like this, it might be a certain problem for Elevate to deal with off this momentum swing.
Yeah, but the side of this that, and again, we'll talk about this in a moment, is Godlike don't play raid. they just don't. They really, I think, you know, you look back at CDSI, they tried to finesse the veto process by playing a lot of Seaside, which was not a popular map in China at all. So that seemed to be kind of the focus. Whereas you look at Elevate and what their history has looked like on at least the control, they were great at control throughout CDSI. In fact, they didn't drop a single control at CDSI. So there is that to play with, including some really convincing results on raid. So this is, again, you know, when you're looking at this Elevate team, how do they go from one championship to another? It's going to be largely through the way of the respawn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that has been their winning combination as well. And that's why you can just see just how loose they are on the stage. They understand, yeah, Search and Destroy, maybe our weakest game mode. That's not exactly great conversations to have for yourself when it comes down to a potential best of 7 should you make it to Grand Finals. However, the respawns, should you close out a series early and fast enough through your slaying prowess and just how meticulous we saw them breaking every single hardpoint that Godlike were set up for, why not have the same copy-paste moment when it comes down to raid control?
Very true. Other side of it is there's some PTSD built into Godlike on this stage, on this map.
Well, when you put it like that.
All the long-standing COD Mobile historians will, of course, remember that this was the last moment of their World Championship run versus Wolves, and it was a map that we look back on and say they should have won it. They had two options. The stack, they just forgot about the objective. Now, talking with these guys while they were here early, they said, look, we know we messed up, but you learn from moments like that, and not having been in a situation like that before, mistakes like that can happen.
Sure.
That's a growing moment for sure. It comes with obviously a lot of pain, but there's no better way to come back and find recovery than stepping onto the stage again, nearly another 10 months later, and being able to win this map versus a very quality opponent on the other side.
Can't ask for a better test than a team off of recency are coming into a raid control 13-1 before this weekend even started.
Yeah.
That is a tough ask, but again, when we talk about control, Arsenal, Seaside, to your point that you brought up earlier, you're just not going to want to face off against Elevate on a map mode combination that will enact a spawn trap inevitably should you lose the opening salvo. But raid gives you a fighting chance, especially when you do have some pretty darn straight shooters on this Godlike roster. And to your point again, just learning from everything, what they were able to intake last year came up short, whatever, but I think that this team is always willing to step up to the task, get better with one another. That's why they're still sticking together as a team. Be able to see what they can also do here on the global stage once more.
I really want to see how polished this Elevate control looks.
Me too.
Like, it's one thing sitting back and watching it. It's another to like actually be actively breaking it down and making note of the small things that they do well.
Yep.
That's sometimes just be missed if you're opening up and watching 4 streams at once right now, by the way.
Which you should be.
Which you should be.
Yeah.
Multiple tabs, friends. There's an app for that.
Quad box it. But you know, it's just a beautiful thing. And there's so many games that are happening as well. Even from our perspective over here, we can still see the BC and D streams as those games are still going on. Just bangers after bangers. Par for the course when you're at a World Championship.
We got someone on a map 3 Seaside control over there. Looks like it's on the Delta stream. Not sure who's playing that, but that's something to keep your eye on. Could be Upset City happening over there. You know who's playing there? What you got?
I'm trying to find out.
All right. I love your effort.
I tried. It's the thought.
It's the thought that counts, yeah. Well, regardless, we're ready to go here for match A, so stick with us as we jump on into a raid control. Godlike trying to find a way to possibly give an early upset, so to speak. It's hard to say it with any sort of like solidified confidence because this is your runners-up from last year, but they are playing the recent CDSI champions, so you know, call it what you want, but it would feel, I think, like an upset in a lot of ways.
Control, if you're unfamiliar, capture segments on the zone. The more segments you capture, if it goes round 5, you will get defense, but if you can win by kills, if you can win an offensive round, good for you because it is very difficult to do.
Yeah, this is what we come to expect. Kendi's going to snipe whenever he possibly can. Early defense, though, for Elevate. Already being tested over the top of TV zone. And Godlike will come away with even exchanges on overall lives. Able to step on to pause the clock for a minute, but not even a minute, it's a second. Counter nades are good, and that's enough for Godlike to say, we're done with this site. Let's move over to A.
Yeah, might as well try. Got a lot of space in the middle of the map through rocks, but nobody's inside a kitchen yet. Neutrino's just a little bit late to this. He's expecting a hit to come through from pillars, and albeit it does, the pinch is just not good to deal with. But Godlike still hanging around over by the A control zone, and we'll keep the clock stalled for now.
Yeah, second tick of progress on the way. Bedroom control still in hand, though, for Elevate's defense. Trying to recover over through the front side at Money Window while simultaneously pinching a Bees. Little left-right combo. Oh, almost takes it into the left-right, and then the instant haymaker out of the Tundra, but Prevail will get the elimination. Second tick block, third now on the way, and here comes Elevate trying to flood, but Abiz standing in forward, able to at least eliminate this defense down to single lives, and that's enough to extend the clock an extra 60 seconds.
Okay, it's insane how that does end up working in Godlike's favor. Trunks' position off the respawn was actually still holding the entirety of the flank. A very slow start for how good of a series that this young man has currently had for himself, but Abiz, with that sniper rifle, is going to be potent enough. It's a 2-life deficit for Godlike, but they have so much more time to work with over here by the ring.
Oh, I thought for a second Trunks was about to absolutely world star Klo. Doesn't work out, and as Klo keeps his life, he turns that into a second elimination. So now 12 plays 9. Advantage to Elevate. 3 ticks is all that's been tallied to this point. Minute 20 on the clock, and Godlike are putting together at least an attempt to pinch. I mean, you've got a player in Neutrino deep in the defensive spawn, and he's going to call for more assistance. They're trying to rewrap laundry here.
You also have the same thing happening on Elevate side. They have a numbers advantage here, Alan, and with a clock that is going to be in their favor as they're starting to clear over by Garage. Players still hanging around ring. You're pretty convinced at this point if you are, Kenny, that you can just hold the angle. What the quick scope was that?
Nade in the left hand, sniper rifle in the right hand. This guy hits the gym. Tell you what, follow-up from Elevate, working out for a little bit of spawn pressure, as now it's just down to the last 2 lives for Godlike. And there's just nowhere for them to go. Yeah, so 3 ticks of progress is all they're gonna find. Learn just doing what he can to try to reduce the life gap just a touch, but good defense from Elevate, all things told.
Absolutely. I mean, being able to at least read the situation where the initial hit is coming from is one of the more difficult parts when it comes down to control, as Learn just trying to make it punishing there at the end. Yeah, I mean, hold on a second.
I mean, he finds one more kill. He may get this first tick of progress lot. That could be important.
It might be. Gets the first over towards pillars, but the pinch from Laundry is inevitable. So 3 segments, thanks to Abiz's efforts and Neutrino as well, over by that A control zone. But yeah, great defense coming through from Elevate, just being able to win not only the opening engagement, but keep Godlike pinched in the middle of the map. It exhausted so much of the clock.
And this is what we often talk about with control in COD Mobile. You've got operator advantage now for Elevate. The defensive win. They're going to pop the Sparrow and the War Machine initially, but that's a nade from Neutrino that actually stops Yopi's Sparrow before we can even take a shot with it. Neutrino hasn't been able to do too much with his War Machine either, so not a lot of value here for early operators as Elevate continue just to kind of wait for their moment to jump onto the A zone.
Not exactly what you want to see as an Elevate fan, but a great response coming through from Neutrino, not only from the nade itself, but just the single operator that was expended to keep Elevate at bay. That 1-for-2 trade is going to be good. And then you force Elevate back to the drawing board, try to play through the middle of the map. They're already up to the pool side and inside a basketball court, so the clock will stall at 56 seconds.
Yeah, lots of nades being thrown here as Elevate are not just happy staying on the zone. They want to get aggressive. Close, surprised with the equalizers out. Abiz able to turn that into technically 2. He gets the quick scope for one, the nade for the other, but Elevate's tensions on towards the A zone still look strong as mid-map focus continues to bleed over towards the Garena squad.
Yep, look at the setup coming through from Godlike. I mean, they are just inside of Garage. A grenade will unearth Prevail from the AC units, but from the positioning that you have, if you are Learn, look where everybody's spawning, just in a linear and one-dimensional path into Neutrino's, having himself a great map number 3.
Trade is decent, though. Elevate can at least still frame up some sort of a hit. But look at the Godlike defense. They're setting up the Zim trap. They've got it. They've got the gym control. They've got the AC control. And now you're just screwed. I mean, if you're looking at this from Elevate, you're hoping you can jump onto the point, give yourself the extra 60. Why are we not jumping on the point and giving ourselves the extra 60? There we go. Finally, we jump on forward, but now you've got to turn around. You have to deal with the spawn trap. I mean, you still have learned teeing off, and finally, it's someone who spawns up in the form of Susano to turn and find the elimination needed.
But now you have to start realizing, why are we spawning inside of the gymnasium? It's because there's still one more player inside of the spawn. And they have a Claw. It is Trunks, who hasn't had a great map number 3 thus far, but this Claw inside of Art just might be the final thorn that Elevate has to deal with. It is 14-8, and Godlike have been in the spawn trap since yesterday.
Tough timing there for Trunks. Tries to step in with the Claw, but loses its channel and gets caught with a knife out. Still, though, 4 life advantage. Prevail gonna call the equalizers in through Art.
Okay.
Yeah? Decisions were made.
They sure were.
He's going to be able to lock down this front door, but it just doesn't feel super necessary, especially considering that all of Godlike are still around this zone with complete control of it.
I mean, it's just such an unnecessary resource to throw away. Especially once you inevitably do win this 10v5. The Elevator now out of respawns that you might just need to be able to convert one of the upcoming zones for an offense. All speculation aside, Kendi's going to be able to take down one.
Yeah.
Getting further positioning here on ring. There is a flank, though.
The thing is, with this kitchen control, Elevate should know that they've got Godlike spawning out. This is still doable, but the flank from Trunks may have just taken the last life out of the lungs of this Elevate offense. And yeah, B's tallying on the Susano. PJ, last one left, also gets shut down. 3 ticks for both sides so far through our first 2 rounds.
Yeah, 3 segments each, so even playing ground. But again, it mostly comes down to the resources when we talk about converting an offense in Call of Duty Mobile, when it comes down to being able to turn what almost feels like this is going to be sent towards a round number 5. 1 operator currently in the hands for PJ. Kendi also going to pull out the War Machine as well, just trying to win this defense before it even starts.
It's an Annihilator battle in middle. Abyss has the last word. Kendi has to rotate with the War Machine. He popped this early, just hoping for something desperate. Not going to really work out over the top, so Abyss will jump on. Clock will pause at a minute 10. And kitchen control also looking good here for Godlike. It's going to be an early stack for some very early success here on the A zone.
Neutrino has been a problem. If it's not with the Odin, it is surely with the nades and other ordinances, including the War Machine. Hunter-Killer Drone going to try to move themselves a little bit further forward. Watch out for player number 3 in blue, trying to work himself up a little bit of a flank. Is currently sitting up inside of bedroom, and this is a lot of pressure that you have to turn to deal with if you are Godlike. Yeah,
that's just a really good timing on the pinch. Klo from one side, Yopi on the other. Stops the second tick before it can be fully captured. And now you're forcing this Godlike offense to have to go A because of the route through the bottom side at bedroom. So now all of a sudden a little bit of trouble here for Godlike. Trying to get some feet underneath them on this approach, but a couple of kills after the backside of the smoke dissipates, allows them to at least reduce the Elevate defense just a touch.
And now what resources do you even have to try to combat it against this? So you got the 2 segments over at A, but just look at Elevate just suppressing them as PJ just jumps from the rafters, finds himself yet another kill, 15 to their name. And now Godlike forced to march across the pool side. They need this 3rd segment.
Yopi tallies the inventory of how many players are here, almost gets the transfer for a couple, but again, that's what Yopi does. He's the first man in, the rest of the team cleans things up. 16 seconds on the clock. Currently being paused with focus over towards B. That's going to have to be where Godlike tries to get an extra 60. There's just no way to get back over to the A zone, and the equalizers from Klo clear out Art. Then with that, now Godlike are just kind of back and forth ping-ponging between which zone they're trying to attack.
And it's just because of how proactive Elevate are, just being able to find all these kills, they either march through Art or they march through the Zig stairs just to try to make sure that Godlike can spawn in very precarious position. PJ up top with the Odin, just letting them have it. Trunks was 1 shot. Kendi will claim his own life, but it should just be the round here. No respawns remaining for Godlike in 8v4.
Oh, but they do find a couple of kills. Second tick is done. 3rd possibly getting a tally here with that. Yopi in for the contest. Last second to come through, and Godlike will actually be able to stop it a little bit longer, but not too much more beyond just a small contest. So 2 ticks added on to the tally, and with that, Elevate looking good for their defense again.
Yeah, I think that 2nd segment is pretty vital. Obviously, 2 is more than 1. That's how increments do work. But at the end of the day, I think that Godlike did have ample opportunities to be able to capture that 8 control zone. It just comes through from the timing for the player top bedroom for Elevate. But you need a defense here if you are Godlike, and you need it to be a very potent one at that to maintain that round 5 defense should we get there.
Now PJ gets up top, already has another Annihilator from when he started last round. These shots though not fully hitting, at least initially, but is still zoning out this Godlike defense. Knows he's got a player backside jungle and tries to sniff it out before the Annihilator charge runs out, and that's where it will end. 3 battles for Godlike over the top of A has worked out nicely, but Elevate still with a big staging setup will throw every single nade to Neutrino's direction, pushes him off, and Elevator back onto the A zone already.
How do you get yourself out from here? A lot of it has to be through the money window, but the crossfires, the gunfights, just the timing is just coming up all Elevate. Second segment lock. Equalizer now out from Prevail, and it's actually working out wonderfully from Trunks on the pinch. But still, so much more work to do just to maintain presence on this map.
Third tick being contested. Prevail aggressive with the equalizers. Shuts down 1 through Zig. And again, it just doesn't feel like the greatest of timings for this equalizer. Like, we get a little bit forward, but you know that Elevate's going to be stacking over for A. They get the extra 60. That gives it the tick advantage as well. So at 18 plays 18, the equalizers are done, for at least for Godlike standpoint. And Elevate are still working on playing out of this position.
Yep. It's always been the investment in the return of investment for the operators. We talked about that even on the Hacienda map number 1. Elevates have just been that much better. Neutrino, another war machine that, is able to find a couple of kills, but we have to start thinking about what this position might mean for us. How much more space can you deny from Elevate? You have a 3-life lead. You need to suppress him here.
Yeah, and this needs to find value because you don't want to spend any other operators knowing you're going into a round 5 offense if you can hold these last couple of moments here. So a lot of macro gameplay going to be questioned for Godlike as they're only enjoying a 2-life lead. And it doesn't even feel super confident considering the middle of the map is not anywhere near theirs, but Prevail Trunks able to follow up and make sure that everything is counteracted beautifully. 11 plays, 6 and Elevate have to come out of spawn again.
You're running out of lives.
Prevail existing inside of Art is hitting routes. No more respawns remaining for Elevate. This has surely got round 5 written all over it.
Yep. So Learn will have an operator, Aviz will have an operator, and I imagine Prevail is probably close as well. Other side of things for Elevate, Yopi, Sparrow already at the ready for him. No one else has anything charged. And Neutrino's also been able to earn himself a Hunter killer drone. So maybe a chance if you can tally a couple more kills for Predmus. That would be massive for the round 5 offensive attempts.
Would have been good.
Excuse me?
Yopi? Let's imagine. Imagine. That would have been insane. What a Herculean conclusion that would have been, but it's not to be. But the problem still remains for Godlike. We haven't seen an offensive win, but we have seen at least Elevate being able to deny that third segment coming through from Godlike. Would have been the difference if going up to kills for a round 5 offense as we look at the resources for Godlike. Need to find value with the Sparrow off the rip.
Yep. Not good. Boy, actually will be used immediately. I mean,
yep.
Yopi loves to do this, where he's just blindly taking the Sparrow out, not even knowing necessarily where the hit's coming from, just to hope he can just stop it before it happens. But the problem is, he doesn't get anything with it. The Hunter killer drone shuts it down. This is possibly where it happens. Prevail stuck in a corner, doesn't know which way to look, able to still find Kendi. That's enough for the first tick done, the second on the way very quickly. And Elevate spawning towards Laundry, have to hope these nades start to land. None of them are. So a second tick gets captured, and you may have to chalk this if you're Elevate.
Oh, you do. It's about a 2v4. The other 2 reinforcements coming through from Elevate are just way too late in the reach, or just too clean as well. But PJ in the timing inside a money window. How have you gone away with this? The Hamburglar of the third segment is Elevate. Godlike back to the drawing board.
Godlike, we're already on rotation. They thought they got the third tick for free.
It looked pretty good.
It was about a fraction away from being completed, but now Elevate starting to work back on their retake. Sloppy off the reload for both players. But still goes the way of Godlike for now, but the defense will restabilize, enjoy a 2-life lead, and still have a pretty convincing spread of the map.
Third segment being depleted is crucial in this situation as well. The lives aren't even too far gone either. Godlike actually trailed by a single life, and now you have to work on this third segment from scratch again. It is almost feels like anger coming through from Godlike, just constantly trying to throw their way towards the pool slide, but now you're just spawning over there because wouldn't you know it, you got someone in your spawn. And
the problem is you have to keep flooding to get this extra 60 seconds. Kendi only able to find one with the War Machine. Now you've got PJ with Annihilator in the face of so much utility from Godlike. 14 plays 10. PJ just trying to hang on backside basketball. He's able to connect. The War Machine gets shut down. Same breath. So does the equalizer. PJ, pop it off. 12v7. 19 seconds on the clock as this contest over towards B, but Godlike, they need this extra 60 and they cannot find a way to get back onto A.
You might need the extra 60, but you need an extra life. Strungs has to pull out the claw just to maybe try to find a little bit more value, but it's 2v11. Godlike are currently falling by the wayside. Elevate will win this round number 5 of Control, and they will go into the 1-0 club.
Oh, man. That's one of those moments again for Godlike. It's like, what is it with this darn map?
Yeah.
We were a fraction away from getting the extra 60. They're thinking objective, objective, objective. Let's see if we can quickly transition back to the top of the map. Wouldn't you know it, Elevate was waiting to retake, and they stop it before the capture comes through, find the kills they need, and then there was just never a chance for Godlike to come back after that.
The only analogy that comes to mind is that when your eyes are bigger than your actual stomach. It's so difficult to try to decipher because the late hit that inevitably came through for that pinch that stopped that 3rd segment from being captured. You can't blame Godlike because it was so mistimed, but it ended up working out perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, the thinnest of margins. So Godlike was right there, almost to possibly pull a bit of an upset over the CDSI champions. Not to be, though. The respawn just too good for Elevate to start off their first round of the Swiss as they will move on into the 1-0 bracket.
It's just one of those things that, like, I feel like that Elevate, albeit we wanted to see more from the firing range search and destroy, we know their steps to success. It's all in the respawns. The way that they were able to manipulate and isolate so many different players and force Godlike to play so timid. And then it really came through in just how resourceful they were with their resources in response continuously. When you go back and you dissect the 2 respawns, it's going to come through with the amount of pressure that Elevate did have over Godlike just from those resources and gunnies alone.
And I think the thing about it is, you know, reflecting on the Hacienda from map 1 and then also kind of tallying up some of the results that we saw from CDSI, especially against the Chinese teams in Hardpoint in particular, is that Elevate have not been restricted from map motion. They are running and doing whatever they want on the map. I mean, this particular matchup, Hacienda was just kind of given to them because Godlike were just not contesting the power positions that you often expect. You know, they're getting the early rotation, but they're allowing, you know, setup positions to be earned by Elevate, and eventually you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's kind of the same thing at the end here with round 5 of the rate control. They had so much more map control than Godlike did, and that eventually allowed them to just run away with the victory.
I think when you give so much space to Elevate, it allows their superstars to actually show up. Because again, it's not just the capability of how high they are able to go for their skill ceiling, but it's also their ability just to be able to take all that information, to be able to get as many